Now that we've gotten the facts out of the way, I want to talk a little bit about my reactions to this. After the capture of Dzhokhar, we had a ton of video of people all over Boston cheering, celebrating, chanting USA. And I have to say, I'm having a hard time with all of the celebrating and cheering following the taking into custody of the younger brother after, of course, his older brother was killed. I mean, I'm happy and grateful that law enforcement worked tirelessly, I mean, day and night through 5 days to end this specific threat and capture the individuals presumed to be responsible for the Boston bombing. The compassion we saw from Boston area residents was compelling, Lewis, no question about it. The compassion we saw from people all over the country and the world contributing to the medical funds of a lot of the victims, absolutely inspired by it. It is just hard for me to understand the belligerent cheering. It's reminiscent of a sports team winning a game or a championship. And given that people died, people have injuries that they may never fully recover from, they may not even have the resources to treat properly. And more importantly, that we have a serious problem in our society that these things are happening. I understand feeling safer and sleeping better, knowing that those individuals were no longer on the loose. But remember, there were multiple shootings in Boston during the 5 days between the marathon bombing and the death and capture of the suspects that weren't really given any airtime because they were kind of a normal part of Boston life, right? We can appreciate the efforts that were put forward to stop the immediate threat, and we're going to start bringing at least Dzhokhar Tsarnaev to justice. But when I think about this level of violence, in spite of my own feelings of gratitude for stopping the immediate threat, I'm too sad about the status quo to think about cheering and celebrating. That's just me.
Right. We live in a country where people are dying every day from ruthless violence. And I know this was kind of a unique situation,
right,
in which there were countless injuries and some very gruesome deaths. But, I mean, I still consider this to be a quasi-dystopic society.
Right. I mean, watching and listening to the USA chants in the Boston Common, I thought, yes, it was USA law enforcement that caught the guy. And it's also the USA that has some pretty extensive and unique violence problems of all kinds, including the fact that people end up wanting to do this thing, the fact that the other murders that took place in Boston during the search are so commonplace that they barely get any coverage, right? I mean, USA, but these guys were, for all intents and purposes, American. One an American citizen, the other on his way or in process of becoming an American citizen. I can't help but think about the fact also that we do this to others daily, right? I mean, remember the feeling of hearing the news? This happened so close to our studio, the feeling of helplessness, terror, the feeling that we just were attacked and we didn't know it was coming and we had our resources there and we couldn't do anything about it. This is how others feel when we drop bombs or drone others overseas. And for those saying it's different because we're targeting bad guys, fine. But first of all, we've been wrong sometimes, right? When General Stanley McChrystal told the story about droning an innocent farmer who was just working his land. And let's take it a step further. Let's say the bombing in Boston was targeted to kill one bad guy and it killed 2 innocent bystanders and it injured 183. Would we be saying it's okay, or would we still be feeling that same terror? So I have a number of takeaways here. Let's figure out why we have this violence problem. Let's allow the incident to also make us think critically about our foreign policy and the ongoing war on terror. And we just need to, I don't know, that was my reaction. The cheer, I couldn't get behind the cheering.
Yeah, I mean, after this, people are not going to feel more safe because they caught these guys. I mean, it's after an attack like this that you feel less safe. And that every time someone goes to a big public event, they're going to think about this. And that's kind of the goal of terrorism.
I'm running a 5K. You're running a 5K on Sunday. Is this going to cross your mind when you reach the finish line?
Of course.
It's going to cross my mind. No question about it.
Yeah, it would be pretty crazy if it didn't.